What is the
Cashiering.
patch?
Shearing.
I speak from the heart.
Sunwheel.
Yes, sir.
Well, sir, you a skinhead?
Not yet.
You're a Nazi?
Correct.
And I said, you know why? I told that.
Just observations.
You know why I didn't know how to put out.
It's a German.
Is that
it's a
Ukrainian?
German Wolfshoek badge.
What is it?
It's a Wolfshoek,
God
right?
will provide.
Okay.
Just a German badge. That is a sunwheel right there. All representations of National Socialists.
Yeah.
It's in my heart.
This is the thing that gets me.
It's there by my bed.
The socialism thing never leads to freedom.
It's speaking.
You know, I mean, it's never worked ever.
We fought the revolution.
I mean, every time there's been a socialist agenda in charge, what happens is they say that they're for the workers and all that to gain support. Then once they're in power, what they wind up doing is they wind up killing the teachers and all that stuff. And then they impose their will on the people, and they preach equal opportunity and all that stuff. But what winds up happening in the fulfillment of socialism is the only thing they do is make everybody equally poor.
Down to the bottom, playing to the lowest common denominator.
That's the way it always works, though. It
that's
never
Marxist
gets
socialism.
implemented. There isn't the best Marxist.
The best Marxist.
What, you look at
scumbag.
Cuba? You know, I mean,
I'm not
there's
supporting
You like
Marxists.
Hitler?
That's the topic for a different time, but I feel like that's a very misunderstood topic.
Okay. You think Hitler was a good guy?
Well, there's a lot of things that they don't tell about him because they are legitimately scared.
Where do you get your information from?
I read books.
Where do you get the books? From the library or do you
I
order
usually
them on
have a hard
the
time finding books in libraries because they suppress all the books worth reading.
internet? Okay.
You trade your faith.
it's good to read the books. There's nothing wrong with reading the books that you read and stuff, but you got to read the other side too, because I'm sorry, I lived in Germany for a few years, and there's really nothing that Hitler did good. I mean, there isn't. There's nothing about anything that he did that led to any prosperous things for anybody.
He confiscated the guns.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
The only people in NSDAP Germany not allowed to own firearms were enemies of Germany, communists, and Jews who were declared enemies of Germany in 1936 after causing a world economic boycott on Germany.
That's not true. I lived in a little village, Folkenberg. First thing they did, that's what they did at the start. What they did after that, they go, oh, we've got all these murders and everything else. We need to make sure we register all the guns. Then they went and they registered the guns like good German citizens did. And then the brown shirts come around once it got into power, and they took everybody's gun, man. It didn't matter if you were Jewish, German, or anything else. Unless you were a brown shirt or a freaking Nazi, you got your guns taken away. It's a fact. I talked to German citizens who lived through it.
Members of the NSDAP were allowed to own any firearm they
But
wished.
that's just the elite. That's like saying, okay, only the police are allowed to have guns. That's the same thing, man.
Moved them over into you know what Operation Paperclip is?
Heard of it?
Okay, but you're not familiar?
That's Operation Paperclip is where
But I want my grandchildren to have a better life.
the German scientists and everything
Went to
defected, and America came and swooped them up. And it was who's the rocket guy, the main rocket guy? I can't
Werner von Braun.
Yeah, von Braun. That was him and all of his and a lot of his colleagues decided to go to the United States rather than Russia because
Ponder on it.
he was just obsessed with space. Whether or not he
We're gonna lay down and roll over.
endorsed the Nazi party or was just a part of it because of circumstance and he had to. He denounced it, of course, afterwards. Fact was, he was a Nazi. I mean, he was in the party.
Does he work for the CIA now?
Huh? Von Braun?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Von Braun has been
I
there
think
for
it's
a while.
possible. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that are possible.
Have you ever heard
I
of
lived in
Operation
Ramstein,
Hijack?
Germany for 3 years when I was growing up. I went to Auschwitz. I saw the theater that's built of Jewish ashes. Saw the freaking lampshades made out of human skin. You can't tell me that there's any redeeming qualities of the Nazi party. I mean, you can't talk.
I have a
you
hard
can't-
time believing in those numbers. Like,
I don't. I saw what they did. I saw their signs, the propaganda, and everything else. A lot of people, you want to take something and what was going on before the Nazi party was not good. I'm not saying it was, But
They had
you don't
literal
answer
trafficking
tyranny and
Frankfurt
evil
School.
by being more evil than what was before.
But you don't fix tyranny and evil.
You don't judge a whole bunch of
me ask you
group of
this.
people just because they're Jewish. You don't judge a whole group of people just because they're black, or a whole bunch of people just because they're not German.
As a people, they unanimously destroyed Germany's economy, and it's documented.
That's a crock of shit, my friend. That is a total crock of shit. They were just people trying to get by. They had to stick together because they were ostracized and put upon. Of course, they're going to stick together and do what they can to help each other out.
Well, yeah, that's natural human response.
Yeah, but that doesn't make them evil. That doesn't mean they need to be gassed. That doesn't mean we need to put bullets in them.
So, sticking up for your own people is not an evil thing.
No,
right?
but fucking stomping on others just because they are what they are isn't the answer to freaking, oh, okay, I like white people, so let's stomp the hell out of everybody else. I totally respect your right to be wrong about whatever you want to be wrong about.
I respect.
Okay.
sold my house.
All I'm saying is, don't commit to any ideology that
I'm going to retire.
puts down other races or things just on generalizations. You got to judge a human being's worth by that human being's worth. There are good and bad people in every race,
I know that.
religion, and everything else. So buying into a group that thinks it's okay to demonize a whole nother group just because they're a member of that group is wrong. You know what I mean? I mean, you gotta. The thing that was great about this country is because you could come and you could believe in whatever you wanted to believe in, and as long as you're not hurting other people, that's where you got to draw the line. And the Nazis always want to go out and hurt other people. Everybody should be able to do them and be them as long as they're not hurting other people.
The summary of my beliefs is simply that I believe that we should have the right to exist and practice the religions that we wish to practice,
Absolutely.
as long as they are not degenerate and disgusting. I lean more that way. I'm not really religious, but I would lean more that direction.
You know that's a satanic religion, right? Who do you think Satan is?
So Satan is the fallen angel Lucifer from the Christian Bible.
Do you think he's a good guy or a bad guy?
Well, simply based off of what the Christians view him as, he seems to be the left-hand version of Christianity.